Hey there, welcome back to Reddit XO, the best channel for Reddit cheating stories. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more stories like these. Now, let's get into the video. Lessons and experiences from my separation/divorce. Finally, the day has arrived, and I am now officially divorced. As well as my own personal experiences, I'd want to share some of the things I've learned along the way. Hopefulness and validation will be spread across the world as a result of this. To begin, when I, a 35-year-old man, married the mother, a 36-year-old woman, of my 3 children, ages 13, 10, and 5, in 2006, I had no clue that I would find myself in the position I am in today. It goes without saying that we do not marry someone in intending to end up in a divorce situation. Things started to change in the autumn of 2018, and notably in December of the same year. Earlier that day, she had finished a boudoir session and had shown the photographs to a male neighbor who had just divorced her. Besides that, she was waking up early, which was rare for her, as she was more of a night owl, to go to the gym with him and have coffee with him before going to bed. She then told me that she was reevaluating her life choices, but she did not provide any other information throughout our conversation. We decided on the month of December 2018 as the date for our divorce to take effect. We, on the other hand, carried on with our daily routines as normal. It was just the two of us, sleeping in the same bed and going about our daily routines in silence. We spoke about the prospect of selling our current home and remodeling it, as well as the potential of moving to a different neighborhood. We were expecting that it would assist us in breaking out of our rut. Unfortunately, it did not work, and we were obliged to continue living our lives on automatic pilot. Being in a state of limbo is the worst feeling in the world. Her last statement, which came in May of this year, was that she no longer loved or adored me. A lot of things in my life came to a grinding halt because I had put so much emphasis on becoming a family man, getting married, and having children. My sense of self had completely disappeared. At this moment, I realized that I had done a fantastic job of loving her while she was fulfilling her responsibilities as a wife and mother, but that I had failed to love her as a woman throughout the process. At a higher rate than ever before, suicide thoughts entered my head. It came to the point where I was researching potentially harmful prescription combinations while waiting to pick up my groceries one day, which was a bad omen. Despite the fact that I was in the midst of reading, I saw an elderly woman and her cart having a fall, and I rushed over to help her while seeing other people just go by. It was at this moment that I came to the realization that I was valuable as a human person, rather than only in my professional roles. It was important to me to choose a few people who I wanted to serve as captains of my intellect in order to keep me from making snap decisions. It's because I wouldn't have been able to complete the task without their assistance. I'd go through situations with them and talk about how I wanted to act in each one. They were helpful in leading me through some really difficult moments in my life. In addition, I've started maintaining a journal. It offered a safe space for me to leave all of my emotions behind so that I could focus on being present with my children while still managing to function somewhat at work, which was quite beneficial. Even though I'm not sure whether I'll ever read those journal entries again, I'm certain that they were useful. I learned that the person who is leaving is the one who is given the opportunity to construct the narrative. Then she went on to say that she felt obligated to marry me and that she had never before shown any feelings of attachment for me. So I fabricated the story that my marriage and family were collateral damage from a midlife crisis as a consequence of this experience. The news that their mother and father were divorcing felt like a nightmare that had become a reality as we shared the news with our children. Her tears were streaming down my cheeks, and all of our children were weeping, but she was completely silent. It seemed to me to be a clear sign of her larger comfort level with the scenario, as compared to mine, at least. I realized there was no way I could get her back once she had fully loaded both closets and both sides of the drawers. In her perspective, there was no longer any room in her life for me. She had moved on. I did all I could to keep my family together, even though it was very tough. The 40-day love challenge was something I participated in. Are you certain you want to go through with it? I requested her as one of my checkpoints, and she agreed. My mediation experience was hampered by the fact that I didn't have children to spend time with them half of the time since I wasn't working. Because I wasn't physically there with my children all of the time, I was fairly severe, which I now see was not a good thing. However, I didn't know how else to love my children if I wasn't physically present with them all of the time. As a consequence, I wanted to make the most of the time I had with them while I still had it. The final few weeks of 2019 were a whirlwind of activity. She was no longer considered a member of the family 4 weeks after I kicked her out of the house. During our mediation session, we drafted a formal separation agreement that would be filed to the court system for approval. She made the decision to live on her own and in her own apartment. She introduced them to her new lover in front of the children in the audience. Initially, I thought she was meeting someone new since she had a former high school fling, but it turned out she had been seeing him every summer since 2015, when she would bring the kids to our hometown for a summer vacation, something I was completely unaware of. Her choice to leave was really painful. We had some common friends who helped her move out and then bought her housewarming gifts to make up for the fact that she didn't have half of the stuff she needed. I didn't receive anything at all. When I was younger, I don't remember having a whisk, a kitchen table, or window coverings available to me. I was feeling really alone and dejected at the time. For the first time in my life, I was living on my own, which was a liberating experience. In a very short amount of time, I had transitioned from living at home to being married. I was completely at a loss for what to do with myself while I was alone. This was the moment at which I decided to seek counseling, which proved to be beneficial in terms of bringing my emotions back into balance. When it comes to painting, it's amazing what a difference a new coat of paint can make. I was able to personalize and make my house a home of my own. I rearranged furniture and put stuff in the locations where I wanted them to appear. The trash can was put behind the sink, and the recycling bin was stashed away in a closet, and my daughters pointed out that their mother did the exact same thing as they did as well. It was eye-opening for me to realize how many things their mother and I shared that were never expressed. We either took action or just left things as they were, without saying anything about it. There are several instances of unintentional behavior. The use of music was also quite useful. I discovered that listening to 3-5 songs of heartache, or even simply rage, and then listening to constructive music, thereafter helped me get out of a rut. I recommend it. As soon as I began dating, I realized that I wasn't ready for what I was getting myself into. I simply wanted to fill in the blanks of my life that had been left unfilled. What do you do when you come home from work when you don't have your children? A date once inquired of me. I stumbled through my response because I didn't know what to say. I didn't have a daily schedule or any hobbies to keep me occupied. It was a difficult revelation to come to that I wouldn't even want to date myself. As a result, I started dating myself. I'm going to the movies by myself. Going for hikes and rollerblading are some of my favorite pastimes. I came up with a basic fitness plan that I could do while skipping. Observing the night sky. Audiobooks and podcasts are two of my favorite forms of entertainment. Reading. It was strange at first, but it was a huge relief when I finally felt comfortable in my own flesh. I've been able to establish new patterns of behavior in my life, to develop new traditions, habits, and celebrations that are exclusive to me and my children. While it was challenging to plan summer vacations and other events with just one parent, I managed, and these experiences became highlights for my new family as a result. I still have a functional parenting-only connection with the mother of my children. We've learned to be a little more flexible with our parenting schedules. If one of the children is missing the other parent, we arrange a phone call or even a sleepover for them. On sometimes, one parent will accompany a kid to an appointment on a day when the other parent is not available. When you look back on the previous 2 years, it's remarkable how much has happened. We handled all of the paperwork on our own, which kept legal bills to a bare minimum. And now, here I am, legally separated from my husband. I'm looking forward to the rest of my life following divorce as we enter the year 2021.